Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Blue-Black Control with Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. Don't let the Wastelands and the Singleton Daze fool you. This is a control deck. We are going to try to take over the game by just having a commanding board presence through Baleful Strix, Orcish Bowmaster, Tamiyo, and Brazen Borrower, and our Singleton Mockingbird, which can be anything we need it to be. If we need Bowmaster Supremacy, it's our opponent's Orcish Bowmaster. If we just want to press our advantage, it's a Baleful Strix. If our opponent just cast a Pyroglyph, boom, let's Pyroglyph them. This is a really cool flex card. So we've gone all the way up to 3 Kaito because I want to see him in every game. He's just been so good. Our disruption is mostly for Thoughtseize. We still have the 4 Force of Will, the 4 Wasteland, and the Daze that I mentioned. We still have the perfect mana base from Blue-Black Tempo. We still have the 2 main deck Nile Spell Bombs. Again, we're just trying to play a slower game here and just gradually check all the boxes and then win. We don't have a Murktide to close the game. We don't have a bunch of Netherglyphs to steal an early win when our opponent's off balance. We're not even trying to get our opponent off balance. We're just trying to lock them down. Let's take a look at the sideboard. We've got 4 Consign to Memory and 2 Harbinger to deal with Eldrazi. We've got 3 Hydros and 2 Force of Negation to deal with Moon Stompy. We have 2 additional Graveyard Hate pieces for dealing with Blue-Black Reanimator and Oops All Spells. We have Turok Dread Cantor should we run into a white deck that is playing Prismatic Ending or Swords to Plowshare. This card is amazing against those types of decks. And we have an Engineered Explosives for Chalice matchups. It's a very simple deck. I've already won the first round. I just didn't turn on the mic because I was a fool. So I will do a recap of that round at the end of this league, but we're going to go ahead and jump straight to round 2. See you there. Round 1, we're up against a likely Moon Stompy player. They've been playing Moon Stompy pretty much all year. This does have a path to a basic. Thoughtseize is very strong. However, they're mulliganing. If they come swinging out of the gates swinging, however that expression goes, then I definitely want to have a force. I'm going to mull. This also does not have a force. This has a path to both basics. I think this is the deepest I'm going to go. We could be completely screwed. If we can get a swamp and Thoughtseize them, we'll be in a very good place. If they Chalice, that's devastating. Blood Moon turn 1. Okay, I'm going to play it out. There are odds we could draw our basic swamp magically off the top of our deck. It's unlikely, but it's possible. Yeah, maybe that was just me not having the temperament to mull the 5. It certainly feels bad to mull like 2 really good hands back to back. They're not doing anything. So, we draw a plane, we draw an island, we can get Tamiyo out. We draw a swamp, we can get we're going to go to discard next turn. But again, they haven't presented an answer or like a solution or an end to the game yet. They have 4 cards in their hand, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were getting very close. Yeah, it's very common to lose game 1 against Moon Stompy, even if you know it's coming. Chromox, just no action. What did they put on? Oh, another Blood Moon. Yeah. Going all in on Blood Moon was the right strategy here. I'm going to concede. I don't think there's much point in continuing playing. Let's see. Would we have drawn it? Oh, we would have just sat here in misery. Okay. Good to know. The odds, I don't fault anybody for hanging on to hope, but the odds were not in our favor there. Okay, so EE comes in for sure. This is the matchup for it. Hydroblast. This deck is everywhere. You have to be ready to deal with it. This is one of the reasons why I'm playing a 2-color deck instead of a 3-color deck, because in Legacy we just can't have nice things. There's always some extremely disruptive prison deck that is waiting to gobble you up the moment you get cute or clever. Okay, so cards that can come out. Daze is okay on the play. I think Tamiyo's pretty bad in this matchup. I almost always cut her. Spell Bombs come out. Fatal Push is probably necessary. Thoughtseize is good on the play. I'll probably take it out on the draw. We could probably go down a Kaito. Kaito's really just for control matchups. Orcish Bowmaster is not super good. It's not terrible in the sense that it can sometimes stop like a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. We got to make 3 more cuts though. Since we're going down on creatures, I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard. This is a really tough match to board for. I mean, our opponent's probably going to be expecting Daze anyway. I don't know. I'm going to treat it like it's Force of Will, number 5. It's so bad after the first few turns. I'll bring it in. No, it doesn't make sense to bring it in on the draw. Maybe. Why am I wavering? Why am I vacillating? All right, I'm going to cut a couple fatal pushes. Because frankly, that's not what it's about. Like, it's hard to turn on fatal push. A lot of their biggest threats aren't even vulnerable to fatal push. I think the fact that we have Baleful Strix, Kaito, lots of stuff. I'm going to tell myself that. I'm going to tell myself that narrative. Hopefully, we don't get completely destroyed because we cut our pushes. We've got one in there. It's a force hand, but it doesn't have anything else going for it. I mean, it's a path to basics. It's sad. It's really sad, but I'm going to keep this. My concern is that we start going a lot deeper, and we can stop one of their threats. We can maybe even stop 2 and get a basic under us. I'm going to do this. This is, mana. They don't disrupt our mana at all. I probably should have actually cut maybe like a fetch or something like that. Cut a wasteland. Or maybe cut an underground sea. They kept 7, so maybe they kept a slower hand, anticipating us, punishing explosive starts. Shatter Skull Smashing, Lotus Petal, Ancient Tomb, 4 mana. This is Karn. I didn't expect Karn. He wasn't on my bingo card, but I'm going to attempt to counter him as my sole game action. All right, so here I am doing the executive decision. I'm going to go get a Surveil land because I cannot bear the thought of drawing another land. We will get our basics. Don't worry. Oh, that's a great card. It'll be great later. We just need to waste them here, and chances are they're low on gas. I mean, they could just soul land into Blood Moon and just have an incredible hand. That's certainly a risk. Okay, and this is what I was hoping would happen. That wasteland was pretty important. Got another wasteland on deck. So priority fetching island, and then once we have Force Negation up, we're not going to drop underneath Hardcast Force Negation mana until we're sure we have something better to do. I think I do fetch the Thin here because I just don't want to draw lands. I know it's like fetching the Thin is not a myth, but it's, oh, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and see what they have left over there first. Oh, the freaking nuts. My goodness, this is ridiculous. Okay, we don't need to worry about Blood Moon anymore. Bombardiers would be really irksome. Yeah, they're just like an Ancient Tomb away from completely destroying us. Fable is the thing that does the most for them. I'm going to hit the Fable. If they get mana, they'll probably just broadside, and we can deal with that. It is worth noting that I can't deal with broadside with a Force Negation, though, so maybe I should have taken the broadside. Another Chrome Mox. This is not going to get them anywhere. They put the Blood Moon under it, which is fine. I am going to fetch the Thin again. We've got to fetch if we need to do something with it. Okay, Bowmaster can potentially surprise a broadside. So I'm here for that. We got rid of the Fable, so their hand is Karn, broadside. Exactly. There's no real point in playing this fetch out. We can hold it. Yeah, I'm going to play the Wasteland out first. It's not like they can change what they draw. They just draw whatever they draw. This does let them know that whatever they do is going to be one shot, though. I think we probably want to go ahead and get our clock going. Oh, they're shocking that. That's so good for us. Broadside. Okay, so this kind of sucks. We can ping, and then they'll have to throw one of their Moxes to save broadside. I think it's okay. And then they're going to be really low on mana for the rest of the game. I am going to ping them because I'm almost certain they're just going to throw at us, and we're going to double block. I'm almost certain they're going to throw at the Orcish Bowmaster is what I'm saying. Might as well get the damage in. Yep. So we wouldn't have been able to block because it had menace. So we're racing this, essentially. I'll draw my card before I waste them. Well, that's a pretty sick rip. Bye-bye. And bye-bye. I'm just going to do it now. I don't care. Okay, they have Karn in their hand, and they have 1 mana. We do have Hardcast Force back up, and we're going to start beating them down. We will eventually draw a way to close the game, like a Kaito or something like that. We have 3 Kaito in our deck, or actually 2. I cut one. I'm going to fetch the Thin. Yeah, I'm never going to come off of this Force. And see, just like that, I drew the Brainstorm. But it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to shuffle anything away. These are all great. Well, I didn't know I wasn't going to shuffle anything away, so I think that was kind of greedy. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to Strix into Consign. I'll Strix into Ponder and set up my next draws. Blue. Note that Fury just wipes my board, and that is a card they play. Let's go ahead and Ponder now. Borrower is another attacker. I think we just keep these cards as they are. I think it's more important. I'd rather pitch Consign than Borrower, because Borrower can come in. Borrower can actually borrow the Mox out and potentially come in for extra tempo. I do want to hold these Hardcast up for the next few turns, though. Yeah, so had I kept the fetch, I would have had to crack it there anyway. So the fetch the Thin thing, it's important, don't dismiss fetch the Thin as idiocy, because there are sometimes situations where it has merit. This is a counter for sure. There are lots of other things we could do here, like we could, bounce the token, but I like just doing that. And now we're drawing a fetch land. So we do have the option of bouncing this out of play and then just bringing the borrower in step. They may have to replay it. I think it's fine. Okay, they tap that tomb and they're dead on board. They're dead on board. I'm going to let this resolve because it doesn't matter if they block the Orc. They put a Cave of Chaos Adventure. That's good to know about. So a lot of these decks, there's not necessarily a standard version of this deck. I'll just go to instep and do it then. Yeah, okay, they concede. Okay, cool. So a terrible opener, but we still managed to win on the strength of them just not having much of a backup plan. And that's sometimes how it works. Usually they have 2 big Windmill Slam cards, 2 big haymakers that you have to stop. On the draw, I think Daze comes out. I kind of want to take out my Thoughtseizes. We do damage to ourselves. Yeah, I think I bring the Fatal Pushes back in. I mean, it is risky to have so many 1-drops against the Chalice deck. I'm going to bring the cheeky Daze in. It pitches the Force, and there might be situations, there were certainly situations in that game where Daze would have been live. It was technically in our deck, though. Oh, we just didn't draw it. Yeah, I feel like Fatal Push is fine here. Thoughtseizing is really bad when they've emptied their hand, and they are an aggro deck. This plays. It doesn't have a path to basics, so we may have to force. But I don't want to throw away something that has an answer to Chalice and an answer to turn 1 Blood Moon. And, Wasteland to buy us time if they stall out on land drops. They're mulling to 5. And we can turn on Revolt to Fatal Push like a Broadside or something like that. Ancient Tomb, Petal, Blood Moon. All right. I'm going to waste that. Yeah, I think it's safe to waste. They could just draw into, action here. Okay, they're playing that tap. That's great. Okay. Now we have Hydroblast up, and we're just chilling around waiting for... Oh, that's a great draw. Waiting to draw something that we can do. I'm not going to play the explosives out. There's no merit to playing it out. I don't believe our opponent's likely on Trinisphere or anything like that. Kaito's a good rip. We just have to chill. But our top decks are way better than theirs. There's the Ancient Tomb. Okay. They may have Karn. Karn is scary. Karn means potentially 1 ring. I haven't seen Chalice at all, so they may not even be on Chalice. Disruptor Flute. Yep. Scary. Name Wasteland. Okay. Well, that is great. So I'll just wait until end step, and then I can put Bowmaster in, and then we can, if we draw into land, we can Kaito. But I just want to make sure we make it to end step to be safe. Because we may need to push a Broadside or something. Oh, they're shocking that. Okay. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Okay. So here's what I think we do. We let them introduce the initiative. Then we Bowmaster. And then next turn, we can Hydroblast it. And I don't consider that to be reckless because they're pretty low in life. We do have Force on top of our Hydroblast. If we find, and Orcish Bowmaster single-handedly is like the biggest reason why this deck really like crashed. Like Initiative as a mechanic did, because Bowmaster is just like waiting end step, ready to jump in there and dice it up. Okay, so let's grab our island here. Bowmaster, ping. Okay, if we draw a fetch, that's perfect. We didn't draw a fetch, so I am going to go ahead and attempt a Pyro here. I can grab a swamp when I connect. Play with the swamp. Yeah, I think we just chill. We don't have anything to do with our mana. I think that's okay. Pedal. Okay, they only have one spell left, so we can win, I think. We're going to force negation pitching Kaito here. I don't want to risk them getting something. I think that's game. Yeah, good games. GG Philip, G Fly. Take good care of Michael J. Fox. McFly. All right. I don't know why that fly in the name just makes me think of... and maybe that's what they were thinking. Because I mean, it's Philip J. Fly, like Michael J. Fox, McFly. I don't know. I'll stop talking. Round 3, we're up against a likely Sneak and Show player or Omnitel player. I mean, this hand is totally fine. I wouldn't throw it back. Like we've got the Tamiyo Brainstorm combo. If they've changed decks, we're in trouble. This is what they've been playing historically, like as of, this is a while back. I don't think this is a good enough hand. It doesn't have a force. They kept, yeah, I think we mulligan this. There's not enough interaction. This has plenty of interaction. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to put back Borrower. Yeah, I'll put back Borrower. I mean, that's not a bad card against Sneak and Show, but it's certainly not like the most explosive thing we can be doing. We can fetch Island if they turn out to be on a Wasteland deck. We can get Tamiyo into play, and then we can Brainstorm, and we can start going upstairs because their deck isn't generally good, especially pre-board, at dealing with a resolved or a flipped Tamiyo. Okay, so this is Omnitel vibes for sure. Pretty full-on interaction, but they could have a Veil. So we might need to use several points of interaction here, but I'm happy to have 3. If I fetch a basic island and then I draw a Thoughtseize, I'm going to be pretty disappointed in myself. I can't think of a deck that plays Trop into Brainstorm or into Ponder that would likely have a Wasteland in it too. All right, another Brainstorm. I'm just going to go ahead and stick Tamiyo. Yeah, I'm going to be bold. If they waste me, I'll have a lot of egg on my face, but it's important to not play scared when you think that you've successfully pegged somebody on a deck. So if they're on this type of list, which they've always historically played, they could even have Eureka in their deck. Ancient Tombs, Beseiju. Yeah, I don't really see anything to interact. What's this Malevolent Rumble? That's up for a permanent card from among them. Okay. Yeah, that's not particularly relevant. Okay, it looks like they may actually be on Infect. Infect is a deck that would go Trop into Noble Hierarch, and I have been Wastelanded by Infect before. Sometimes they'll just play a 1 of Wasteland. So that could be bad. All right, no Wasteland. This also could just be like a naughty deck. All right, we drew the Delta, which is great. I'm going to play it out, then I'm going to attack, and then I'm just going to Brainstorm and get the Tamiyo party on the road. No reason not to wait till post-combat. So cards we're looking for, Thoughtseize would be amazing here. All right, Fatal Push is actually fine. We don't need the redundant Tamiyo. I wouldn't mind having a Clue Draw engine. I do think it's good to hit this just because this represents colors, but it also represents like a turn of mana development. I'm going to put back a Delta as well. I don't think it's important anymore. They could have Daze in their deck or something like that. But I think it's worth just going ahead and pushing here. There's no reason I mean, I'm not going to have to worry about drawing double Daze. I guess I'll get this and then I'll get a basic next time. Just in case they waste me, I don't want to get wasted off a color. Okay, that resolved. We have double interaction up. We're just going to protect this Tamiyo. Okay, Infect confirmed. So this we cannot interact with. Other than if we find one of our 4 wastelands. I'm just going to plus here. I can play this Tamiyo out. Like, it's not bad to just have her on the table and she can potentially block, and her blocking stops us from just taking incidental chip damage from this. But I think Tamiyo's ultimate probably also helps with that. They're in a pretty tough spot here. We can no longer brainstorm. So brainstorm will be the pitch to force, unless there's something totally crazy that happens that necessitates us. It looks like they have a lot of land, which I'm not sure if Infect wants to draw that much land. They could have some big crazy top end card. Teferi would be a pain. Teferi can't bounce planeswalkers, notably. I'm prepared to go to Hellbent to protect my Tamiyo, Seasoned Scholar for sure. Infect is an archetype that like I have a lot of affinity for. I actually bought like a bunch of beta and alpha berserks, so I have like a playset of those. But I've just never found the deck to be playable personally. Like it seems brittle to too many things that too many decks are doing. Wasteland, of course, just removal in general, which pretty much every non-combo deck is playing. It's a very high skill, high risk, high reward deck, and I'd rather play a deck where like all the cards are good, like this deck that I'm playing right now, than a deck that has to kind of go all in on, you know, what is essentially a 1/1 creature that can be bowmastered, that can be pushed. Yeah. Okay, they're tapping. They're making it a creature for some reason. Tapped. What are they doing here? Flinging it? I can't counter this. They may have me dead. I can no longer interact with this, and I couldn't interact with that Legolas. I can counter this. This would make it a 6/6. I don't want it to be a 6/6. I'm going to counter. I think we pitch the brainstorm here. It's just too much. Like a 6/6, like it'll... If we force this too, I mean, this is like their big volley, right? Like they're going to 2. I'm going to force this. I don't know how much, like whether they can still kill me. They can probably still do something to kill this. All right. So we stop them at great cost. So I can't control the sequence in which these go on the stacks. They are going to get a damage here. All right. So their abilities go on the stack first. Isn't that how it works? And I believe they took, no wait, they didn't. What are they doing here? It just does nothing. I should block just in case they have like some explosive thing. Okay, so it does 0 damage, I believe. All right, we're doing okay here. Bowmasters is a huge relief because we can do this to them. I'm going to keep my blocker up. I'm not going to attack. I'm about to draw half my deck. Bowmasters is potential interaction unless they have, you know, something to interact. As long as this blocks, they need a Berserk, or they need to remove this. Probably getting a Surveil land here. Hedge Maze, I believe, is the blue-green one. Okay, just doing the end step fetch. Noble Hierarch is fine. I think I'm actually going to just ping this to restrict their options before they get the attack. Okay, they just scoop. Yep, that felt great. All right. Infect. So, Graft Digger's Cage, or Explosives doesn't blow up lands. Harbinger does potentially shut them off green. Like, they probably are playing Forest, but I think this is actually something we bring in. By the way, if you hear my original piano composition, he likes to compose music and play. My 7-year-old piano-loving son. All right. So what's coming out? Well, I think now Spellbomb comes out. I think that might be all. I don't know that Force of Negation is actually that good because a lot of the spells we want to stop are uncounterable. And also creatures, right? You could go with Consign. Consign can't stop, like, it doesn't stop like the way they deal with poison damage or anything. I don't think so. And also, I think Consign is bugged currently, and you can't replicate. I tried replicating again earlier in the league, and it just didn't work. So unless something is fundamentally changed, and I'm like misunderstanding how that works, I'm pretty sure that Consign just doesn't work right now. It'll counter, but you can't replicate. This hand is pretty solid. We've got lots of interaction. Brazen Borrower is a way to get something out of play. It's worth noting that this can't return Nexus. Nexus is really like the scary card in their deck. But we do have a Wasteland. I'm going to keep this. And I'm just going to open Tamiyo just like last game. Yeah, they don't have a turn 1 play. They might Daze our Tamiyo, which is fine because we've got another one. Yeah, I'll just hold this Delta for later just in case we find a Brainstorm. It is cool that like this deck, even though Tamiyo is like a value generating creature, the fact that she can become this like aggro plan that makes our opponent scoop is really awesome. I love this card. I think this is one of the most powerful. It's maybe the second most powerful non-Eldrazi card printed in Modern Horizons behind Frog. The fact that Jeskai Control now has cards like this also excites me. I think Jeskai Control is not as good as this deck. In fact, I like just completely destroyed my friend who's a seasoned Jeskai player the other day. Oh, they're really burning these cantrips. That's fine. With this deck. Because I think Bowmaster and Kaito are just so good. Like, and my friend swore up and down that this was a favorable matchup for him, but I don't think it is. I think the combination of Bowmasters and us having Thoughtseize and things like that like made the matchup unfavorable for him because I beat him 3 out of the 3 games. We played, our normal tournament match, and then we played an extra game, and I beat him that one too. And I think the main thing is he was just running out of cards in hand because I was Thoughtseizing him, and I was like, cantripping off of my Baleful Strix and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to come in for a hug, and I'm going to pass with lots of interaction up. My opponent has failed to find their second land, despite brainstorming twice. But we can't really press our advantage here. If they brainstorm a third time, I might go ahead. Oh, this is great. Yeah, I'm definitely going to attempt to poke this in step. And it's possible that they just have the Daze, but it's going to be end step, so they're not going to be able to replay their land. I will get some basics just in case. I should get my basic swamp, though. Yeah, I'll get my basic swamp next time. And I am going to go ahead and get my poke on. That is a Tim and Eric reference. Okay. Wow. Feeling pretty favored. I mean, we could just waste this land and effectively end the game. I think I'm going to do that. I know that there are other things we could be doing here, but we don't have a spell on this deck. Yeah, they just conceded that. Okay, that was quick and easy. Good games. Let's go to round 4. We are 3-0. All right, round 4. I'm getting vibes that this opponent is on Cascade based on their play history. They play Cascade in Modern. They've played it in Legacy. But this is a great, just all-around hand. Very dirtily. I love it. Well, it seems our opponent has switched to the dark side. I'm just going to let them take our force. And yeah, if we get turn 1 Reanimator, that happens sometimes. Or turn 0, as I like to say, because we haven't had a turn or anything. Yeah, it looks like they have the Dark Writ. Oh, just the Entomb. Okay, so unless they have a Petal, we're not dead yet, but we're likely dead. Best draw on our deck, definitely Force of Will. Wasteland might be effectual. Arcana Cruelty in the yard. It's interesting they went for that rather than like Gristlebrand. Maybe because they don't want to have to fight through these Strixen. Daze is relevant, potentially. I am just going to go ahead and drop the Tamiyo. Yeah, so the argument for playing Daze in a control deck is precisely this. Like, there are situations where it's Force of Will number 5. And we'll see whether they have the land drop. If they just have Reanimate, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I don't think we fight on. I think we just concede. Life is too short to like play to like a 1%, we'd have to have like a miracle sequence of draws. Archon is particularly oppressive because just first Brazen Borrower, you can't really do anything about it. Okay, so cages come in, negations come in, hydroblasts come in. They are playing the black-red version. Fatal Pushes come out. They can have, cards that are annoying, but Fatal Push is generally a dog in the matchup. We need to make 3 more cuts. My instinct is to just cut like a wasteland. Usually they have basic lands. We can cut a Kaito. We do need to close the game, but 2 Kaito should suffice for that. On the draw, cutting Thoughtseize is not a terrible plan. You can sometimes accidentally put a reanimation target in their graveyard. Not any other obvious cuts. I would say Bowmaster could be a cut. They do play Faithless Looting. I think it's unlikely that Mockingbird matters, but one thing Mockingbird could do is if they play a Douthie Voidwalker, which sometimes they'll use as a pivot for fair plans. We could create our own Douthie with it and then block their Douthie because they both have Shadow. It seems pretty marginal. I think I just cut a Bowmaster. We want maximum blue because this is like a pretty glass cannon-y. It's not completely glass cannon, but it's pretty glass cannon-y. I mean, this is a Thoughtseize Hydroblast hand. I think we keep this. Just going to keep very quickly so that our opponent thinks we have like a force and all this other stuff. But we are going to get the Thoughtseize 5 cards. I like the presence of Brainstorm in terms of being able to... And for that reason, I'm not going to play the Swamp. They do sometimes play Magus of the Moon, but I'm going to go get an Underground Sea, and then I'll get an Island with the other one. So what we're looking for is Entomb, or anything they can put a threat into their graveyard. They mulled to 5. Let's help mull them to 4. Okay, so there's the Entomb. Man, they have an insane hand. This is an insane mull to 5. Yeah, I mean, this sucks for us because they're just 1 Entomb away from victory, probably, and they are going to be able to Thoughtseize us. But you definitely take the Entomb here. It's the ban tier card, and I will die on that hill. That card needs to be banned. It was banned for a long time. They need to ban it again. Interesting. They're opting not to Thoughtseize this. Maybe they're going to wait and give us a few more turns. I would love to draw another Thoughtseize. Okay, Ponder's not bad. My instinct is to just hold up Hydroblast just in case they draw, and then we can Strix next turn. I like the idea of being able to Brainstorm because we think they're unlikely to win next turn. So we can Brainstorm in response to Thoughtseize and hide something good, and then shuffle away something bad, like shuffle away the Swamp. So if we find a force, they're probably not going to go for it. If we find a Graveyard Hate piece, then that is the thing that we need, really. Like, we get Cage into play, and we probably win. They're surveilling. Sometimes they just get lucky and bin a monster. Unbelievable. The odds that happen are pretty low. All right. Just freaking... Yeah. And they even have the Thoughtseize, so we can't do anything about this. Let's think about this. Is there anything... They take our Brainstorm, and we're just dead in the water. We could Brainstorm, completely change the composition of our hand to a bunch of force effects. Force this, or have multiple forces. Yeah, this is our last shot. Just unbelievable. Look, they probably have like 6 monsters, maybe 8. We even got the Cage, so if we Brainstorm last turn, we would have gotten the Cage. I think I'm going to Daze this, and maybe that'll spook them in the wait a turn. Because they don't know. We could have multiple Dazes. I'm going to put the Cage on top. But if they pay, then they know that they can successfully reanimate Gristlebrand. And yeah, I'm just going to hope that they don't pay. Actually, they may not pay and they may just go for it. If they pay, though, then we do have Cage next turn. They are not paying. Wow. Freaking Soul Read. Okay. That was freaking touch and go, my friends. Touch and go. But we are going to Cage here. They chose not to push further, and now they're going to pay the price. I am very happy about their decision. I'm going to go ahead and Ponder just to try to set up some interaction here. They've already got the threat in the yard, so we just need to protect this against, like, Shenanigans is a literal card name. Sometimes people play it because they can cast it multiple times. Any order, shuffle this. We're looking for force effects. All right. So I'll just start stamping out these Strixen and trying to close the game. Their hand is Reanimate 2 Unknowns. That was a freaking bluff. And I think the fact that I waited so long and thought so long maybe gave them pause. Like, oh, they could be looking at a whole bunch of forces or extra dazes. Dark Writ. Okay, here comes some monster that we'll have to deal with. Baragoi for something, maybe. Shieldred. This is not the end of the world, but it is going to do a lot of damage to us because these Strixen, they can just sit back and wait for us. Okay, we drew a force, which is great. Blue, black. Let's draw another card. Looking for a Fatal Push. Wait, we don't have Fatal Push on our deck. We have Borrower. All right. Yes, we lose 2. We pass. Next turn, now that I've got this walled off, I'm going to be looking. I probably will Ponder just to try to get some card selection here. That's fine. So now they don't know that we didn't have the force. We're actually in a pretty tough spot because they can just chill for 6 more turns, and we have to find an answer. And our only answer is Brazen Borrower or Kaito. Kaito can stun, and then we can attack in. But we're still going to be losing life with each turn. They're at 21 life, and they're going to be gaining 2 life every turn. So we could Kaito stun plus and just keep attacking every turn. I'm not liking our odds at all. And again, this is 100% brought to us by Raucous Theater, putting that in the yard. Let's see. If we look at MTG, Goldfish, I'm just going to find like the Reanimator that's 14% of the meta. Absolutely toxic. Just Reanimator straight up. Is this non-blue? Yeah, this is blue. Root Slay. Okay. This is a really good player. Plays this terrible deck. Terrible in terms of like, it's just such a nerve-wracking experience playing against it. 8 creatures, right? So they had 8 in 50 chance of putting something in the yard with Surveil. So it's not that terrible. Anyway, I'll quit complaining and try to focus on the task at hand. They did take our Ponder there. Ouch. Oh my goodness. I hate to hasten our demise, but I think we do probably want to Strix here. We can Surveil. Yeah, I'm going to Surveil. It's card selection. It's an odd number. If we force something, that will be consequential. Okay, this is what we were looking for. And yeah, I just don't think we have time to win because we're taking 2. They're drawing even with Kaito. But I will go ahead and see if I draw the Kaito now. I'm going to draw again. I'm going to drop down to 5. Sadly, I think we just have to chill because I don't want to draw that card associated with playing the Strix out, even though it does slightly up our clock. If we can get to a Brazen Borrower in time. Yeah, I'd rather take draw steps while Kaito's on the table, at least attacking. Yeah, I think... leave a comment with the timestamp if you think I should have played the Strix there. Hydroblast is not a dead card in the matchup too, in case they, find something to try to remove this. Okay, they're getting close to being able to just recast her, which is pretty terrifying too. We take the damage. We come in for a Death Touchy Hug. Let's go black, blue, colorless, Kaito. Getting some MTGO lag. Whenever MTGO is lagging and you see the spinner, do not touch a single key. Like I've had so many experiences where it's lagging and I try to do it a second time and then it's like the game state's all screwed up and I just discarded a bunch of cards. There is no way mathematically that we can race this, I don't think. We cannot replay this Strix. It will kill us. We are playing to the single out of finding a Brazen Borrower, which we do have in the deck. I don't know if we have anything else. So we're dealing 3 damage. They're dropping to 18. They're going to go back up to 20 when they draw a card. All right. And next turn we'll swing for 4. If we could find a second Kaito, that actually would be really good because then we could Kaito plus attack and then we could bring in the other Kaito and then we could stun again or plus again. Okay, we're dropping to 5. What are we drawing? Brainstorm. It would be suicidal to cast that. So I think we do 1 turn of just plussing, and then next turn, if we absolutely need to, we can Surveil. It's worth noting that we can Surveil before we do damage, and then we don't have to worry about drawing the card. Going to go in like that. Back up to 18. We're going to have to stun shield it again. If we force, we're dead. We can't even force. Like, basically, that takes an entire turn off the clock because I did fetch the Surveil. And I don't regret fetching the Surveil. They now have hardcast mana, like, to hardcaster. If we're at 1, we need Borrower right now. Okay. This does not help us, I don't believe. Actually, we can play out the Bowmaster and we can get another plus because we can just chump. I will plus just to be able to do a little bit more damage here. So we're looking to really just draw a Kaito exactly, or a Brazen Borrower that can get her off the table for a turn. But we probably actually need to chain Brazen Borrowers. And this should have been on my radar, but I don't really regret taking the Fatal Pushes out because like we probably wouldn't even live this far if we didn't have enough permission in our deck. There's no reason to play this Bowmaster now. We can wait till they attack and surprise them with it. I don't think they'll have a way to interact. They're like 100% all in on this. Here they come for their attack. They should attack. I mean, I can just stun it and keep attacking. We don't have a single way to gain life in our entire 75. So this is it. Like we have one more turn. One more draw step to rule them all. My opponent's thinking about all the potential contingencies, but like from our side of the table, the situation is so abysmal. Yeah, so if I had brainstormed earlier, I mean, there's no way of knowing that Grafdigger's Cage could have been on top. Maybe it was correct. I mean, obviously in retrospect it was correct to do so, but it's hard to know in the moment whether it makes sense mathematically because we did have 4 things we were drawing to, but you know, they could have had disruption. I will say if we can Brazen Borrow this out of play, I'm going to draw so many cards and change so many different things that I might be able to figure out a way to stop it without losing life. That doesn't help us. Yeah, we lost. There's not really any point in attacking. Yeah, good games. Well, that's disappointing. The trophy run's dead, but we've got we're still doing great. It's just that last game. Yeah. Let's go ahead and go to the final round. And after the final round, I will show you the first round. I can do a replay. Final round, we're up against an unknown opponent with a Chinese username, Chunhe. I wish them luck. This is not a keep. We do not keep no colored mana source hands in this household. This is great because we've got both our basics. I mean, the second Thoughtseize could either be insane or it could be nothing at all. We're definitely putting back the other alternative. So we can put back the Fatal Push. We can always dig for Fatal Push later when we have like creature angles covered to an extent, like creature aggro. We don't have creature combo covered. I'm inclined to keep the second Thoughtseize just in case they're on a combo. Thoughtseize is live in pretty much every matchup. It's bad in Delver, but so if they're exactly on Delver, then we just made a huge mistake. But if they're on pretty much any other top deck, it's good to keep double Thoughtseize. Let's grab our Swamp. Gonna have perfect mana this game. Unimpeachable mana. Oh, they're on exactly Delver. Well, DRC is definitely the strongest card here. Yeah, that sucks. Okay, well, we'll take the DRC. I don't really need to think too much about it. Like, in my humble opinion, you always take DRC if you give it an opportunity. It's the glue that binds their deck together. They do have a Daze that we need to play around. So Delver's coming out this turn, I presume. We can Thoughtseize again, which does hurt. Probably Thoughtseize the Ponder. Reduce the likelihood they're able to line up. A Daze of our own. That's not bad at all. We could just go ahead and Strix here. We could also empty their hand. So here's what we do. We Bowmaster. They Daze. We Daze back and then they have to force. And then we still have the Baleful Strix. I think that's worth doing now while we have a high likelihood of killing this. If we wait, we won't necessarily have that luxury. So the deal with Orchid, we don't know that we're drawing a third land or anything anyway. So using this Daze is totally fine. They may be reticent to use the Force because that involves basically going to Hellbent. And they know that we know that they have the Force. Holy cow, they're letting it resolve? Oh, yeah, I was hoping they'd let it resolve. Okay. So They're down to 3 cards, two of which are lands. The card they pitched was indeed Ponder. They reveal a Daze. Okay, so it's good to know they have a Daze. It's also unfortunate. Gosh, this is actually kind of a pickle because I think we want to Thoughtseize the Daze out of their hand or Thoughtseize whatever the good. Oh, never mind. We can just push this. I think we just push this and we chill. I don't want to Thoughtseize them. I don't want to take 3 damage. That's for sure. If they have another force, that's really bad for us. Okay. Well, they can't have... Oh, they could have a force. Yeah. Okay. So if we get another land, then suddenly the Daze is not super relevant. They're bobbling. All right. So we're making the most of, pretty bad luck in terms of matchup. Like our hand lined just very poorly against Delver, but ripping that one of Daze definitely felt good. See what they've been. Unholy Heat. Okay. And they are delirious for a win. They also have just a ton of juice in their graveyard if they find a Murktide. Land would be great. Now Spellbomb is phenomenal. I'm just going to do it now. This is so good. Yeah, we ripped another Strix, which is insane. I feel pretty good about this game. I mean, I said our hand lined up poorly, but we do have both our basics, and we're in 0 threat of... did they already play out the Misty? Let's see. Yeah, they did. Okay, and we found our 3rd land, which means I think we're just going to go to Strixland. I'll go to Strixland. I don't think they're going to Daze. If they do Daze, I'll just fetch. Okay, they didn't Daze. So now I can Surveil. And I do think it's better to Surveil than to expose ourselves to Daze. Next turn, we're going to another Strix coming. That is a 2-for-1. It's also a bolt that's not aimed at our face. In a matchup where bolts aimed at faces are quite strong. They're drawing lands. That is good for us as well. Let's go ahead and get our Surveil. No Stifle. Not usually in their decks, but just in case. Okay, this is going in the yard. Wasteland. And by the way, I said Wasteland before I actually drew it. I was thinking like, oh, Wasteland might be good, but then I was like, no, wait, it wouldn't be good. But it is a mana source. I think I'm going to start by just pondering. Kaito is great. These other cards are not great. We definitely want the Delta next turn. I'll take the Kaito now. I'm just going to play this out. And we're going to do a Strix protected or a Daze protected Strix. Assuming they don't bolt this or counter it, then next turn we will have Kaito. And next turn, technically we can have Kaito even, we can just hard cast it. But ninjutsuing is definitely more fun here. They're casting a Brazen Borrower, which is totally fine. It's a questionable play. Like questionable timing and everything. Like I just don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They still have that Daze in hand. I think this was just a bad play. Like you don't throw your Daze away like that. All right, so we draw. I think, yeah, and I didn't think about the fact we're actually going to draw that Wasteland too. So yeah, this sucks. Like basically, we're going to draw all those bad cards that we didn't want from the Ponder. Had I sequenced differently, it wouldn't have mattered because I didn't want to get my Strix dazed. Okay, so their hand is 1 unknown. Borrower is welcome to crash in. I will trade with it. My life is important in this matchup. They're filling up their yard. Could be that they have a mark on the way. We don't know what's on top of our deck. We could get in a situation where we just waste them out if we find enough wastelands. I could test with the Thoughtseize just in case they have a merc. That is 2 damage I'm doing to myself. I could also just put this back later. They could have another borrower. They could have Unholy Heat, which would kill Kaito. I think our life total is high enough that I can do this. It might just be a land. It might be a bolt. Okay, it's just a land. Okay, that's a relief. So I'll play this out because I don't want to crack this yet. Kaito's on the table. We will plus and we will pass. Again, Unholy Heat off the top doesn't do it because they don't have Delirium. Brazen Borrower, if they even play a second Brazen Borrower, a lot of Delver decks do not play a second Borrower, which is a mistake. You should play 2 Borrowers. Borrower's insane. You should go down to Merc. Okay, they found like the best possible top deck. They had already cracked their Tarn though. So now they're going to have to... Okay, now they can shuffle what they found. So their hand is still No, it's not necessarily Misty Rainforest anymore. I'm going to dismiss this. Merc. All right, this can be managed, but if they find a Lightning Bolt now, our Kaito dies, which would be sad. Fatal Push doesn't really help right now. I'm not going to fire these Wastelands off. I don't think it's worth doing. I'm just going to stun and attack and hope that they do not find a bolt. If they find a bolt, we could lose this very winnable game where we've been playing, in my humble opinion, very like tightly and have gotten good exchanges. Okay, land. All right. So now I kind of want to plus out a bolt range. Now I definitely want to plus out a bolt range. I'm also going to play this out so I have Hardcast Force up. Next turn, we're going to have to stun again. Let's get this game over. It's going to be 2 more Wax Island. Okay, they are definitely not getting what they need here. Thoughtseize, not a good rip. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll attack first just to make sure I can get my attack through. Well, it doesn't really matter. I've got a force. Now we will stun it again. And this is why Kaito is better than Murktide and why I'm playing 3 Kaito in my deck and 0 Murktide right now. Like, Kaito is just, it does so much. I think it's worth forcing this. This just opens up a lot of options. They probably have 1 dead card in their hand. Even if they find a chumper, we can push. They're not going to be able to find a second borrower. They could find, or they could find a second borrower, but they're not going to be able to find a second Merc. All right, we got it. All right, post board. All the Thoughtseizes come out. That is for certain. We don't want to be hurting ourselves in this matchup where, you know, life points matter a lot. Harbinger is worth bringing in, and Hydroblast is worth bringing in. And then I usually cut a force. Daze was clutch there for sure. Like it basically 2 for 1 to our opponent. Engineered Explosives can blow up annoying stuff like, gosh, how many times have I lost a freaking counterbalance lately out of Delver? It can also blow up. Yeah, we could take this out. I'm just not sure about it, frankly. I'm not sure about Kaito number 3 as well, but Kaito was insane there. It is mana intensive. On the draw, I mean, we could take a Daze. They may be playing around Daze anyway. And then we could bring in the EE. I feel like it's good enough. Like we can potentially kill multiple creatures with it. We can kill counterbalance with it. I'm going to try it. This hand's perfectly serviceable. I wish I had basics, but I'll take it. Against Delver, you generally don't want to mulligan if you can avoid it because every card matters, just like it did in that matchup. Like, you know, us getting that 2 for 1 at the beginning was pretty important. I think I'll probably open Ponder rather than exposing Tamiyo to, you know, broad array of interaction spells. Unholy Heat, Bolt, Pyroblast. Do they have a threat? Okay, they do have a threat, and that's scary. Like, even this little 1-drop, like, I've gotten soloed by these before. We are not safe. Okay, Hydroblast is a great rip. I think I'm just going to Ponder and hope to find basics. I mean, this is a path to a basic. Bowmaster is very good. We'll just shuffle after we rip the Bowmaster off the top. So I think next turn is probably a Hydroblast for their DRC if they find it. Okay, they have a Brainstorm. So they immediately flipped, which only happens, you know, like blind flips are about a third of the time, assuming you're playing a good number of sorceries. And it's just like, I recommend 25. So they have Ponder in addition to Brainstorm. So they got a cantrip heavy hand. They've already got their threat on board. We're on the draw. It's going to be tough. There's a high likelihood. Okay, and they've got a Wasteland too. So they're going to get at least probably 3 connections with this before we can get like a Strix in front of it. Bowmasters is not nothing. We do know they have a cantrip in their hand. I think my instinct is to just go ahead and get an island and Ponder again to try to line up more lands. Because the way we lose this is they just keep ripping Wastelands. Okay, there's the second Strix. Wasteland does give us some... We're never going to waste them in this game. Like, even though they only have 1 land. Oh, well, they may have more lands. These cards are fine. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just chill for a turn, and then I'm going to start dropping these Strix. So we'll draw the Brainstorm last. We can go ahead and draw the Strix now. Doesn't really matter. Oh, actually, I'm going to play the Wasteland out this turn because I don't want my underground sea to get wasted. Wait, I can't play it out this turn. It doesn't really matter. Okay, whatever. I'll draw the wasteland now. Yeah, I would love to make a second land drop in a turn. Unfortunately, I don't have mana fast bond out. There's their brainstorm. They may not have land. Note that their graveyard is already pretty fat. And okay, so this brainstorm is used. There's a bobble. I would love to be able to punish that, but I think there's a very high likelihood they have Daze, and I'm just going to play slow and patient. We're going to lose 6 more life from this, and hopefully a Baleful Strix will get in the way. But I think it's most likely our second Baleful Strix that actually can hold this back. So we could be, at like 6 life when all is said and done. And we're doing everything right. Like our deck is well built to be able to beat Delver. This is what Delver does. When you get a turn 1 Delver flip, you're in for this sort of stuff. I think it's fine to play out Tamiyo here. I think if we can draw bolts, that's good. And she draws removal. So let's hope that she draws removal or interaction. If she gets to attack, that's fine too. Next turn, we're drawing Brainstorm, which can flip Tamiyo if Tamiyo is left unperturbed. They do have, yeah. So that would have killed our Strix, so it's going to have to block this. So this is the power of the deck. The 1-drop, just swing it in, get it done, turn after turn, while we struggle to try to assemble cards that can interact with it. Meanwhile, they're getting tons of card selection. They're filling up their yard for the arrival of Merc Daddy. And I think if I get Kaito out, he's probably just going to have to stun this. If we get into a stalemate, like I'm thinking like, Magical Christmas Land where, our Strix actually resolves and they actually don't attack. And then we could attack in and they may not block. Okay, so we're going to do what we planned. Black, blue. We've got Daze Protection mana up. See if Strix resolves. They may just have a wasteland to waste this, and then we're back to like drawing for land. They may force this and may blast it. Yep, that is precisely what I expected to happen. And unfortunately, we don't have enough mana to be able to Hydroblast back, but we can't wait. We cannot afford to wait. They can get a Surveil land. I think they're just on straight blue-red, which I think is better. Like, I don't like warping the mana base to support a single card. Okay, so we're dropping to 7 here. 2 bolts from death. There's the DRC. That is unfortunate. Now, Strix, even if it does stick on the table, only stems so much bleeding. We did draw another Strix, though. That's good. But if they just have interaction, like another Pyroblast, a bolt, anything, really. A force. Okay, and they did have the force, and we're dead. I'm not even going to attempt to keep playing. I think the odds of us being able to stabilize at 1 life are extremely thin. Okay, so that is just getting Delvered. Now we're on the play. I think Daze comes back in, and I'll take a force out. I think those are the only changes I want to make. If they're on my build, which I don't like, I did encounter somebody who was playing my Predict build. We haven't seen Predict, but the fact that they're playing just straight blue-red, that's contrary to what most people are doing. It does make me think that, and you can tell they're likely playing that because they're playing a Surveil land. The 3-color ones decks, they don't generally play. It does make me think less likely that they're playing Counterbalance. I think it's probably going to be more useful to have this force in here just to stop them. Because the way we lose is we lose early. And a lot of people, like, it sucks losing when you have like 6 lands in your hand and 3 lands or 6 cards in your hand and like 3 lands on the table. But that sometimes happens just because they're able to jam up your mana. So we're going to look for a Path to Basics. We're going to look for Fatal Push for sure is really good against them. And we're going to look for Baleful Strix, which is the best card in our deck against them, assuming we can resolve it, which we never did. All right. No mulligans. I think we keep this. This has lots of land, and we can Hydroblast their first scary spell. We can even Wasteland them. We have so many lands that we can do that. We can Surveil and still have Path to Basics. I think I'm going to start with this because this represents either... Well, I'll start with... Well, we only need to get the swamp. We already have the island. Yeah, I'll just play this out. All right, let's go. So we can Hydro if they put like a DRC on the stack. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to interact with that. I am going to go Surveil though. We'll see whether they keep these. They scryed 2 to the bottom. They may be looking for land, so I'm going to happily waste them here. We're just chilling, waiting to draw action. So this kind of gameplay where we're happy to dodge that. We have all the lands we're going to need for this game. Hopefully. All right, and now I'm just going to waste them. Hope that at least somewhat sets back their game plan. I don't have illusions that it's going to do a ton. Double Hydroblast. We can try to hit the DRC on the stack. They did have a second land. It's not a wasteland. They fetched their island, which is great. Okay, I think this is probably their last land if they're fetching island. Whenever you get Delver fetching island, that's very good. All right, and it sounds like that's my daughter playing piano. And my son is standing by. Maybe they're doing a duet. All right. Daze is a good card. I think we just play this out and we have double Hydro up. No need to use these for anything. We'll use one to go get a basic swamp later. Or just in the waiting room. I may actually... Okay. Yeah, they're not doing anything. Interesting. So they have 7 cards in their hand. They're not doing anything. They could have Seek the Beast in their deck. All right. More lands. That's enough lands deck. We appreciate the lands for sure. But you can chill on lands deck. Okay, here's Seek the Beast. I'm not going to return a land to hand. I mean, they could technically double Daze this. Maybe I do. And the reason I'm using the Daze this way is because Daze does get worse. Hydroblast stays good for the entire game. If they fight over this, that's fine. I'll just... I would love for them to fight over it. Okay, and this force is going to resolve. That's fine. And guess what? Now I'm going to use this blue mana I have here to counter target spell if it's red. You want to force again? All right. Now their yard is fat. We are in danger of Murktide here. Delver is not as scary. I think at this point I am going to fetch the Thin, which I don't usually advocate doing, but I don't want to be drawing lands. And we have plenty of land. Okay, Ponder. I'm going to Ponder first before I make my land drop. So I can decide whether to use this sewers. Okay, wow. Just tons of lands. We could have taken that Ponder and then fetched. I think that was probably actually the play. I think it's okay to wait a turn on Tamiyo. Get more information about what they're doing. We don't have... Oh, that's good. Yeah, that'll be good no matter what. Okay. So we've got a push on top. So next turn, we can play Tamiyo and we have a Hydroblast to protect her if we want to protect her. And then she can attack, and then we can use Kaito. And we'll have 4 lands in play. They don't flip. That's great for us. Wasteland doesn't matter that much. They are firing it off. Okay, this might be Merc. Merc is seriously unfortunate. So they come in for a hug here. Yeah, and that Wasteland might be really consequential here. Okay, so I'm going to Tamiyo and I'm going to push this turn cycle. They're down to 2 cards. I'm going to go ahead and start with push because that has to resolve. Otherwise, we're like maybe dead really quickly. Now I'm going to Tamiyo. And again, if we can ninjutsu Kaito in, we can stun this and we can do a lot. So I do want to Hydro to protect. I am worried that they have a Daze in hand. Okay, we're taking it. All right, don't kill my Tamiyo, please. They could have a second Murktide, which would be devastating too. It'd be small, but it would still be big enough to kill Kaito on the back crack. Yeah, another freaking Murktide. All right, we may just lose, sadly. Best draw on our deck is probably Brazen Borrower here. Yeah, our interaction is not lined up well with what they're doing. Oh, Strix. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to play this out. And we are going to Strix Town here. And if we draw a cantrip, I may just flip Tamiyo. Don't have... Oh, actually, I'm not sure what they could have here. Okay, Brainstorm. I am going to Brainstorm. Okay. Last card is Bolt. Counter target spell if it's red. Now, if they want to kill Tamiyo, they have to attack in, which means losing their big Merc. So I don't want this at all. I'll draw this next turn. Yeah, and I can... Yeah, this feels good. Okay, so we'll plus. They could still draw like a Bolt or a Pyro or something and we're dead. They drew, of course, Brainstorm. So they're looking at 3 potential cards that can functionally end the game. It's just a 50-50 matchup. Like, even though we built our deck to be able to reliably beat this, it doesn't mean that we're going to always beat this. And if you watch my game history, you'll see that like a lot of matches against Delver, it's probably 50-50 split with this deck. I think this is my 3rd league with it. Okay, and they are choosing to attack in. These get debuffed. They are both attacking her. Okay, so yeah, I do want to kill the big one. And then this one does 2 to her. And unless they have a way to grow it. Okay, another Delver. All right, and I'm going to ping that, and then we should be doing pretty well. All right, and now cantrips they rip are not good. We have a brainstorm in case of an emergency. We've got a wasteland on top of our deck. Okay, the scoop. Great, we did it. All right, so I think that was probably a premature concession. But yeah, maybe they knew that they had a cantrip on top. So we 4-1'd. Again, this is the 2nd consecutive 4-1. Losing only to, what do we lose to? Reanimator, yeah. Which happens. Again, the best players in the world, the best Magic players in the world have a win rate of like maybe 60, 65%, right? Like, nobody is just winning everything. There is no deck that you can play that wins everything. The fact that we are 4-1-ing back-to-back, losing to Oops, the previous one, which that video just dropped yesterday, losing to Reanimator today, this tells me this deck has legs. What changes would I make? Well, Torok has literally never come up. It's possible that since we're losing to combo, I mean, this is crazy, but maybe we just want to add one more. We do that. And this, you know, the thing is, these are good against Jeskai. I don't know. Going all the way to 3 force negations, but like the only thing we're losing to is combo. Maybe it's just a small sample size, but yeah, it feels like nice and simple, clean. I do just find myself randomly losing like leagues to combo decks. So that's not a new thing. That's always been going on. So really, like, if you look at our sideboard now, it's just 4 consigns and 2 harbingers, and that's combo. And then boom, these are Moon Stompy and other combo. But I wouldn't mind having a second force negation against Moon Stompy either. I think 1 EE is fine. If you're playing Delver or like just the straight blue-black tempo, I would definitely recommend playing 2 because you're so much more susceptible. The total number of 1-drops we have in our deck is like 22 or something, which is a lot, but it's not nearly as many as the blue-black tempo deck that I was playing. Yeah, so 22. I actually had the exact number. Yay. Yay for me. Okay, the one of Daze just showed up repeatedly. I hope anybody who's tilted, like, it feels weird to have Daze. You're not a tempo deck. Or no, like, just watch this league. Watch my other 2 leagues that I did with this deck, and you'll see how insane this one of Daze has been without us having to be like one of those decks that essentially, like Delver, basically empties their hand and then prays that like their opponents don't start drawing cards like Baleful Strix, right? Like Baleful Strix is just dynamite. It is kryptonite for Delver players and for a lot of aggro strategies. So yeah, let's go ahead and watch the other match real quick. I promised that we would go over it. It's a pretty exciting one against Cascade. All right. So here we go. Lost the die roll. This is a good hand in the blind. I don't know that my opponent is playing Cascade. I opt to mulligan anyway because my opponent mulliganed. And often, like if my opponent mulligans, then that could just be them being death and taxes and getting like a bad, hand or something like that. But most likely it's because they're looking for a specific combination of cards. And London Mulligan has been the biggest gift to combo players. Like, if I could snap my fingers and undo it, I absolutely would. I'd go back to like the other crappier, less powerful mulligans, just because like those affect fair decks less badly, but they really help the the combo decks. So we kept a hand that is good against like a blue mirror, basically. We've got Bowmasters, we've got Tamiyo, Kaito coming in, unimpeachable in terms of being able to just hit people and not face any consequences once he's on the table. So I'm like, okay, great. This is great. And one thing you'll notice from watching my videos is I often lose game 1 and then win games 2 and games 3. And the reason for that is control decks often lose game 1. Unless you're playing this like giant control, like Anirog, ZD, MTG type stuff. So my opponent has turn 1 Crashing Falls. I don't really have any counterplay in my hand. Kaito's still several turns away. I can create clues. I kill this to try to remove this, but they have Fire Ice. One of the few removal spells that is playable that technically costs more than 3 because you don't or you don't want to interrupt your Crashing Footfalls. Actually, it has to cost 2 or more, right? So they can play like Brazen Borrower and stuff. So I wasn't even able to remove that. So I just take 10, boom, right in the face. And then I don't draw anything that's particularly good. I Kaito, I think I stun one, and I'm just like, okay, kill my Kaito, please. And they opt to kill my Kaito, and they also hit me, and I just don't draw anything. So again, very typical game 1 experience for the control deck. Game 2. This is a mulligan most likely. Well, it's a Thoughtseize hand. I don't like, they are a Wasteland deck. And I think it's scary to keep a hand like this. So I don't remember whether I mulligan this, but I would probably mulligan this. Consign is insane against their deck, but what if we ponder we don't find a land? And do we really want to spend our first turn pondering when they're spending their first turn exiling a bunch of spirit guides and getting a big army of creatures on the table? I keep... Thoughtseize is super risky here. I think we had to ponder, and we ponder. And we find a second land and a force. We immediately put that force in hand, and this is like a great ponder. Like, obviously, the Undercity Sewers, not exactly what you want to see, but I'll take it. So we take the force in hand, and we're going to draw the Undercity Sewers, and we're probably not going to mulligan, or not. Okay, and that, thank goodness, we pondered instead of Thoughtseizing. It doesn't matter what you take out of your opponent's hand if they waste you and you just sit there for several turns. Okay, so now we're going to keep this Brainstorm. Actually, I mill the Brainstorm because I want to get another land, and I don't want to have to spend a turn drawing through. And there's also always a risk that they just have a follow-up Wasteland. And we get a Wasteland of our own. They force our Thoughtseize. You know what I like to say? You're forcing, I'm forcing. Like, if it's important enough to you to force, it's probably important enough to me to force. Okay, and sure enough, they have a Lorien Revealed, and taking the Lorien Revealed collapses their mana and strands them on very low mana count. And this Fire Ice, this Force, like, we'll work through these, but I don't want them Charlotte's Aging, and they're one turn away from Charlotte's Aging. They really should have just Lorien Revealed here. Like, I think it was a huge misplay. They should have just gone ahead and used it. Because, of course, I'm going to take the Lorien Revealed. They don't have cantrips in their deck. They don't have card selection. They're not going to find lands. And now we play this out, and now they can't even get their Surveil lands. So we ponder here. Wait, what do we do? Oh, we shuffled. Yeah, I don't know what we saw. Okay, here we see some more lands. These are precisely what we want to see. Probably going to take the Misty first. Brazen Borrower is effectively a removal spell against this deck. And by the way, I board out my Fatal Pushes. Here, let me show you my sideboard strategy. So I board out all the spot removal. Now Spell Bombs, of course. One of the great things about playing main deck Now Spell Bomb, not only is it incidentally really good against like half the decks, half the tier decks, but it's also like just guarantees that you've got easy decisions during sideboarding because you've got at least 2 cards that come out against a lot of matchups. So yeah, I didn't bring out Harbinger. I mean, Harbinger certainly could play. I'm surprised that I didn't bring in Force of Negation. Yeah, I'm not sure why I did that. And also, apologies if you hear like a car alarm going off, my neighbor's truck, because I live in Texas, so there are trucks everywhere. Unfortunately, not a truck fan myself. I drove a minivan, and trucks barrel down on you on the road, and there's always some testosterone dude that wants to showcase like all his horsepower, so he rides your butt, and it's really annoying. But that's just one of the things. If you want to have a low cost of living and live in a reasonably well run state like Texas, you have to deal with that. So okay. Anyway, I'll end that little tirade about trucks. No shade to anybody who drives a truck who has practical reasons for owning a truck. But so many people, they're just like luxury vehicles. Like, look at my fancy truck that I spent like $60,000 on, right? When I could have gotten like a freaking, a Toyota, RAV4 or a Honda Civic or something. Anyway, okay, so this is the sideboard strategy. Engineered Explosives should have come in. For sure. Like, it's pretty good. And I think I bring it in game 3. Okay. So, sideboard, as I say, not as I did. All right. We got our land in play. And now our opponent is just sitting there. And we're starting to, like, Strix trades with a Rhino. They grab a Forest, which is hilarious. Like, no malevolence intended or anything like that. Like, but, like, when they're a 3-color deck and they're having to fetch a Forest because of your Wasteland and they've got, like, so little going on, it just makes me feel very good about our prospects here. And I Bowmaster, and we just proceed to just completely destroy them, and they concede. And not a super eventful. They suspended Crashing Footfalls. It's 3 turns away. They're not even going to survive to see it go off. So yeah, like this is not a bad strategy. Just having a bunch of 1/1s, literally 5 1/1s in play. If you lock down the game, you can win with these. And so this is what I always tell people when they're playing like Jeskai Control, or they're playing like all these decks that are like trying to win with like Fourth Aerolingus or something. You don't need Fourth Aerolingus. Just bake the value into your creatures, and suddenly you've got like an entire win con, plus you've got your card draw. This is also a reason why I stopped playing Beanstalk. Beanstalk, yes, you do draw a card, and yes, you have the potential to draw future cards, but it doesn't actually impact the board against decks like Delver. Delver loves to see you cast a Beanstalk because that means that you basically spend a turn cycle cantripping, like doing nothing basically. So yeah, again, Baleful Strix, love the Strix, love the Icefang Coatl. It's a little harder to do Icefang Coatl in Sowing Mycospawn Economy, but yeah, game 3. All right, so here we go. We threw back the first hand, keep a anti-combo hand. I think the card that goes back is a Bowmaster here. Yep. Opponent suspends Crashing Footfalls, which you'd love to see, really. It's like our deck has so many ways of dealing with Crashing Footfalls. Like we get 4 turns to plan around it. I mean, like, no offense to my opponent's deck, but like I'm just not a fan of Crashing. I don't think Cascade is particularly strong. And I think everybody having 4 consigns in their sideboard makes Crashing Footfalls much worse. Even though consign is not working, by the way. Again, I mentioned earlier in the video, but it's bugged, and the replicate trigger doesn't work, which really sucks. Because if you watch the video from yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, where I was playing this deck, I encountered a situation where my opponent was able to force my consign that I had replicated. Replicate trigger just didn't work, and then I was down to force, and I almost lost the game because I didn't have that installation. Okay, so my opponent has opted to force my Tamiyo, which is aggressive, but it would have drawn me clues, and I didn't have a lot going on. So here we just consign the Cascade trigger, and I attempt to replicate. It looks like replicate works on the replay, but it wasn't working when I was actually playing, or at least I didn't see it working. Yeah, I don't remember this actually happening when I played the game. It could be that maybe they retroactively fixed the rules. I don't know how the playbacks work. I know the playback stopped working all of a sudden. Playback, come on. Is it not going to do anything? Okay, it's proceeding again. Sometimes playback is screwed up. Okay, so here we drew our explosives, which is nice because, okay, Crashing Footballs. So we can just clean up this Crashing Footballs when it comes into play, which is next turn, I think. I actually, my opponent opts to scoop here. Wait, I think this replay is screwed up because I don't remember, I don't think my opponent would concede from this position. Anyway, something happened, but the game was a lot more exciting than this. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened with the replay, but basically, yeah, my opponent has no business conceding from there. So sorry, we're robbed of a really exciting climactic game 3 playback, but I don't know. I guess I could try to play it again. Something weird happened with the replay there. I'm going to try one more time and see if we can get the replay to work. I'll just press play so it'll go quickly. Yeah, the MTGO replay system is great. They store your replays forever, basically. They did wipe my replays at one point, and I lost a bunch of replays. I was going to show a league, like a replay league, but they were having some server outages, and then the replays never came back, which was unfortunate. But I appreciate the fact that MTGO stores so many replays for so long. I don't know. I mean, these might be a kilobyte of data or something. It's not like they're, got a giant, server farm. Just a whole bunch of, what is it called? Amazon Glacier, where you can store huge amounts of data inexpensively in the cloud. Okay, so this is where things got funky and it stopped doing stuff. Okay, then this comes in and then, okay, so we clearly put this explosives into play and it's just not showing in play. And I think that's when, so the explosives should be in play. And also we shouldn't have 8 cards in our hand. Yeah, I think there's something weird with the game rules, but we shouldn't go to cleanup. I think it's just going to clean up because it's like the end of the turn. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not, I am a software engineer, but I don't have access to MTGO's code base. I do have access to Cockatrice's code base. So I can, inspect kind of the game rule logic, but, MTGO. Plus, it was written 20 years ago, probably in like Java or some, language that no sane person would create a serious project in today. So yeah, who knows? Who knows the workings of the deck, of the platform. But I will tell you that if you're looking for a deck to play that's super fun, we didn't get to see Mockingbird do anything this league. I did go down to one Mockingbird. My reasoning is you don't want to draw two Mockingbirds. Like imagine you have an opening hand and it's just two Mockingbirds looking at each other like, hey, how's it going? Hey, wonder when we'll have something to copy. Like one of is fine, and that does give us 15 creatures, which is enough to likely be able to get Kaito at. But Kaito was insane against Delver. Like I did board one of them out a lot, but it is just, I don't know. I want to draw Kaito every game. It is a great card. I just don't want to draw more than one. So I think 3 is the right number. So I'm going to keep playing. I'm just going to probably just queue into another league right now and record that as well. But I hope you're enjoying these. I hope you don't mind me just playing this pet deck instead of playing Delver and Stifle Knot and a lot of the other things people tune in for. Like I think this is a serious archetype. I mean, back-to-back 4-1s in leagues. Leagues are really competitive. It's hard to 4-1. So I think that shows like a testament to the power of the deck. Pokemoki has another blue-black list. I'm going to pull that up real quick. It's not here. Bosch and Roll played it. Let me pull up the list from Bosch and Roll. Okay. So Pokemoki, John, I guess is Pokemoki's first name. I'd forgotten that. I always just call him Pokey. Okay, so yeah, he's playing 2 Strix, 1 Metamorphosis Fanatic. I'm not wild about this card. I don't like Miracle cards. I like Terminus. I think Terminus is awesome, but I'm not wild about this. Also, look at this guy's body. Like, look at the proportion of his hand versus his forearm and his upper body. It's like Hulk vibes, right? Okay, and also the really weird mask he's got going on. He's got like an MF Doom looking thing, kind of almost. Okay, so only 3 Bowmasters, only 3 Tamiyo, 4 Troll. So Troll is a good way to win the game, but I feel like this deck is being pulled in multiple directions. First of all, like Kaito wants the game to go long, and Troll wants the game to end immediately. And I don't like having like Troll as a big part of your mana base. They've got 17 lands. We're playing 19 lands. And I feel like we just are much less likely to mulligan. And I think in Bosch and Roll's video, no spoilers, he mulligans almost every single game. Like almost every single hand gets mulliganed. And I think that is due to the dynamic of just Reanimator can get away with that because they only need a few cards to win. But this is like a kind of trying to be a control deck. So I'm not sure where Pokemoki's going with this. But like, it's not the same direction that I'm going in, but it is similar list. And again, I have profound respect for Pokemoki as a brewer. I think main deck consign. I can't get behind that. 3 Fatal Push instead of 4 Fatal Push. Like Snuff Out is not nearly as good as Fatal Push in my humble opinion. I understand that he likes to have a variety, like of a lot of singletons. I like to have consistency. And I think most players like to have consistency, but the benefit of having variety, and like he's playing 2 Daze. Like I went all the way down to 1 Daze. I still think Daze is good, but I think it's best as just a one of that surprises and confuses. Yeah. So anyway, Pokey's not here to defend his decision. So this may be like an exercise that's kind of unfair, but yeah, I don't really want to play this on the, like, even though I own all the cards on MTGO to play it, I just feel like if somebody really wants me to play this, I'll play it. But like, I'm just kind of tired of winning with Troll, frankly. Like I played Scam, not Rescam, but just like old Scam with, that was the fair version. I played that for like 6 months and I had a great time just like reanimating Troll and reanimating Grief and doing all that stuff. But like, it's just fundamentally like much less interesting. And I think this is a vastly inferior Kaito shell. If you want to leverage Kaito, why are you playing these expensive cards that are hard to get out that don't really give you any benefit to get out? Like when would you ever want to return a Troll to your hand? Never. You never want to return a Troll. So Kaito is just kind of like I think in the video, Bosch actually like hardcast him at least once. And you don't want to be doing that. You want to be ninjutsuing. So I'll be excited to see how this list shapes up, and maybe it is better, but it'll probably be better on the strength of it just being much more similar to a traditional Reanimator deck that has the Troll Reanimate combo than it being like a proper control deck. Those are my thoughts. So I am going to continue playing this list though, and I haven't given this name a name. I call it like Blue Black Kaito Mockingbird. I think the best name for it is just Blue Black Kaito, because Kaito really is the centerpiece and the raison d'etre for the deck, the reason for being. If you're not a French speaker, and if you are a French speaker, feel free to laugh at my pronunciation there. And yeah, it's a great deck. So I've blathered on enough and sung the praises of this deck enough, and you've seen it in action. So tune into my other videos and see it in action some more. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.